Capitalism Cannon, Glitchtastic, and Armada in that order. We've got Young Bitcoin on the right, Telperion on the left. Capitalism Cannon, this is a pretty tall one to start with. This is a no CMOD 12. A lot of tricky things going on here. This is a true FA 12. You can't sleep on this one. I think Matt probably has the edge on this, but there's enough stuff going on in his chart that anything can happen. Couple mistakes by Matt there. Oliver's got the lead. Matt picking up more misses. I'm not sure if that's a pad issue or what's happening there. Oliver still got the full combo. Another miss from Matt. Seems like it might be a pad issue, but not confirmed yet. This next section here is sort of stamina driven. I mean, it's 190, but it's not the hardest part of the song in my opinion. You just have to keep the energy level up, hit the bracket steps. Now here's a tricky sequence, a run ending in this bracket step right there. You can see Matt picked up a miss on that. Now we don't know exactly how far ahead Oliver is, but I think it's a fairly sizable edge just based on the number of misses. Looks like Oliver probably pulled this one out, but we'll have to get the report on what the miss situation was there. Okay, so actually, those misses may not have been an issue. Looks like Oliver would have won by 2 excellence, even if all of those were pad. Now, those all being on bracket steps, it's hard to imagine that every single one of those was pad, but there's definitely some discussion going on right now between the competitors and the tournament organizer about what was pad, what wasn't, what exactly they're going to do there. I'm thinking they're probably not going to replay the song or anything like that, given that Oliver had a higher score regardless, like we said. He was ahead by 2 excellence. So closer than it looked, certainly, but it seems like that was a pretty determined to be a win for Oliver. So Sudsy's doing some more pad work right now on the P2 side. Greg's pointing out it's the up arrow on the right side. Yeah, it's one of the interesting facets of okay, so we just heard from one of our tournament organizers that the up arrow is sticking a bit. Yeah, one of the interesting facets of the kind of how bracket steps have become more and more common in modern FA is you get these situations in tournaments where there's more misses as a result of this, and I mean that's obviously by design, and that's a good thing that you have harder skill that's being tested. But it does lead to these situations when you get into very close high-level matches where there'll be a discussion after like 1 in every 3 or 4 matches about like, you know, a miss on a bracket step and was that a pad miss, was that the player. So hopefully we don't see too much of that. Again, that's not to say that bracket steps are a bad thing. It's just sort of a facet that they've introduced because they are harder. It's variability. Fairly solid score from Oliver. Any 99 on Capitals and Cannon in a tournament setting, that's not easy. You know, it's one thing to be grinding a song in the comfort of your home or wherever you're used to playing in conditions that you're really familiar with. But get a 99 on a 12 like that in a tournament against one of the strongest players here is definitely impressive. Pretty much held himself together, that whole thing. All right, I'm hearing "Give It a Shot," so I think they're gonna move on to song 2. In comes Mr. Mutson. How you doing, sir?
Howdy, everyone. Doing fine, thanks. Just had a lovely meal at Noodles and Company.
Oh, nice. What'd you get?
Pasta fresca with Parmesan cheese and shredded pork. All right, glitch-tastic. Bringing you up to speed, how many songs are we into this match here?
This is song 2. It looks like Oliver took song 1 despite some pad issues on the P2 side. He was still ahead on the excellent count regardless, so Matt needs to win this one to keep his hopes alive.
I did overhear the players saying Oliver said he is not very strong at this song, and having personally witnessed Young Bitcoin play this quite a bit at my house, I can tell you for a fact that he's very familiar with it.
Good first-hand knowledge.
Both players still blue, coming into our first trickier section here, where we start to get some more of those rainbow notes. Telperion with an unfortunate miss on the first bracket there. Also interesting that Telperion has chosen to M-mod this. Probably not fazed by those minor wave gimmicks.
Telperion definitely behind by a few excellents as well as that miss. He's going to need some help from Young Bitcoin to pull this one out.
There's 2 excellents consecutive from Young Bitcoin.
And a third.
So that essentially erases that miss that Telperion had earlier. We are past the trickiest part of the song now, so see if both players can hang tight here and not pick up any stray excellence in the easier section of the song here.
Yeah, this last quarter is really all nerves and just executing.
Pretty much. Oh, that was a very odd break there. Not sure if that was a pad error or not. Certainly seemed like it might have been. Not enough to send his score lower than Telperion's, though. So, let's see what happens. One last little skittle part here, and Young Bitcoin nails it, which I think will give him the song win.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed, it does.
Wow, and that was very close.
Quite close.
Really just 2 steps difference, 1 excellent, 1 miss. The miss being on the bracket step, of course. You know, it's the miss isn't really any worse, kind of philosophically, than a smaller inaccuracy there. So really, that was an extremely close song.
Very much so. Once again, these tournament weights we're using give you a little bit of breathing room if you do mess up and get an outright miss.
Right. Yep. So for those of you who don't know, I believe it's excellent is, or sorry, fantastic is 5 points, excellent is 4, great is 3,
and misses are worth 0 points.
So you don't have anything detracted from your score for a miss.
Correct.
Which makes a lot of sense.
You just miss out on the 5 points from the fantastic.
Right. The opportunity cost.
Holds are also worth a little bit less than in stock ITG. Instead of 6 points, they're only worth 2, and mines are -2.
Okay.
So a little more forgiving on the mines, but holds don't pad your score quite as much as stock.
Sure.
So this will be an interesting song here. Armada's a pretty straightforward 10. The only real tech in here is a couple of fairly simple brackets.
Have you felt it?
This could go to either player. This is going to be one of those where you just got to minimize those stray excellence.
Absolutely. Looks like Matt's up by 2 excellence right now.
Young Bitcoin has 1 quad in this tournament today already. Sadly, this will not be his second.
1 great and another excellent from Oliver means that Matt is up by 1 step, I believe. Again, we don't know for sure with the high percentage, but looks like 2 steps now.
Another questionable great, just like what we saw near the end of Glitchtastic there.
Okay, that one I thought might have been Matt, but hard to tell from this far away.
Yeah, it is a bit hard. Both players still holding very steady on the RFA now in the second half of the song. Both nailing that bracket section there. Another stray excellent, but then Matt has one immediately after.
We're pretty much trading through this last 20%. Oh, a miss from Matt. We'll have to see, but he definitely lost the lead right there. And
Another
again,
one on the bracket that is very unfortunate after leading for so much of the song. I'm gonna have to hope that Telperion snags something near the end here for Matt to walk away with a win.
This would be an upset. Let's see if Oliver can hold himself together. Joni's good in these kind of pressure situations. Just gotta execute.
Very close there, but it looks like Telperion's going to take it by a small handful of excellence. Indeed. Those 2 bracket misses really dashed Young Bitcoin's hopes of winning that match.
And they're hugging, so I think that means that Young Bitcoin is
Conceding.
And Telperion will move on. Not technically an upset, but I think a lot of us had Young Bitcoin pegged as the favorite there.
Yeah, it was interesting. The only reason Young Bitcoin didn't seed a bit higher is because he only had 1 real shot at the qualifiers. Had he been given a few more attempts, he most likely would have seeded a little bit higher.
Definitely. Yeah, I think of Young Bitcoin as being a top 8 seed, even in this difficult field.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm shocked to see that he's not going to be top 8, or, well, into the top 4, rather.
Right.
Last semester, Young Bitcoin did make the top 4 after a very hard-fought battle in his pool. All right, who do we have up next on deck, then?
So it looks like it's going to be either Sudsy and Rinker or Steve Green and ITG Alex. Not heard yet.
So we are now down to the final 4.
You next? You next, Sudsy?
No. They're actually going to do a random. As,
oh, okay.
There's some pattern between.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, well.
News to us, it
Yeah.
seems that song is getting thrown out due to some pad issues on player 2 side. So we're going to be playing another 3rd song.
All right. Folks wanted more drama. You got it.
All
It's
right.
going to be Quake coming your way.
Interesting. So this will be our deciding factor for this match.
Yes, indeed. So again, this is win or go home right here. We're in the losers bracket. Telperion, Young Bitcoin, gotta win to stay alive.
Right, let's see what happens to the rest of their tournament fate.
No C-mod on this song, correct. Yeah,
The song starts at 130, and then in the later half of the song speeds up to 150, and still throws more crossovers at you, which are still fairly prominent in the first half as well. It's always very hard playing these songs with abnormal speed ups. You have to decide if you want to read the slower portion a little bit slower than you'd like to, or read the fast portion a little faster than you would like to.
Right.
Very difficult trade-off. We had Quick Attack in the last semester's pack. That was a very similar story.
Yes.
Alright, looks like Telperion has a very slim lead at this moment.
Yep.
Quite early here. We're going to have a lot of crossovers and tell jumps in this section. And shortly, a very tricky 24th rhythm coming up that's so easy to snag excellence on. There it is. Both players do snag a little bit there.
Looks like Telperion's up by at least a couple steps, but it's definitely a thin margin.
This slowdown here, another very, very difficult part. Both players not showing any difficulties though.
Wow, that was impressive. That's a very tricky section.
Absolutely. Telperion often says that slowdowns are his specialty.
Yeah, we were just talking about before the match. These slowdowns and crossovers.
Absolutely.
Very, very good.
Crossovers, no doubt, from his very storied career as a doubles player. Alright, Young Bitcoin picks up a few excellence there. We're moving into this section here with some tricky foot switches. Telperion snags a mine, which is good news for Matt, but then he gets one himself.
It's close, but it looks like Telperion just needs to hang on. Oh, and a miss, but he's still ahead. Wow, that was
That is probably a matter of 1 or 2 steps there. Unbelievable. That is a margin of 1 excellence.
Yes, it is. 1 mine each. The
Does
miss
not.
again
Oh,
is for 5. So functionally 9 to 10. Telperion is moving on.
wow. What?
That's just about as close as it gets.
What a finish there.
What a finish.
Excellent performance by both players. I mean, doesn't get any closer than a 1 excellent difference.
Yeah.